posture and standing poses will be Tadasana. And I want to show you this more as a postural movement and how these changes are happening through mums. So I'm going to have Karen just face in this direction towards the windows. And if she just brings her hands just a little bit more forward just for a moment, I want you just to kind of see her spine. So she's doing a pretty good job that she's not completely over collapsed, or we call it lordosis, in the lower part of the spine where the pelvis is tipped forward. Just going to see if she might be able to do a little extra. Great. So this is what a lot of mums will move. See that extra movement here? It's the weight of the belly and baby pushing forward. So this is one postural change that you'll see in a lot of mums. The other is the opposite. So that last position is called anterior. This is posterior, where they actually tuck kind of their tail down. They clench their glutes. They push the pelvis a bit more forward, and they have the tendency to still weight bear through maybe the backs of their knees. And in this position, also sometimes the shoulders come forward. So one last position, she tips her pelvis forward. Here you can also see that she more or less hyperextended through the knees. So you'll see a lot of mums in either one or two of these positions, anterior or posterior. So we want mums to find what's called neutral spine. Heidi talked a lot about it in the anatomy section, and I'll just reiterate that now, focusing physically. So neutral spine for Karen, just watch. If she just stands kind of incorrectly at this moment, however she feels like she's exhausted, she's tired, she herself is ready to have a baby. Now watch what happens when I cue neutral spine, which is 3 really simple cues. This is core, so hugging onto baby. She'll lift the chest and then lengthen through the crown of her head. And generally what that does is it'll bring Karen in her neutral spine, which usually has a tendency to get mums out of this lordosis. And I haven't said anything about tucking or tilting the pelvis in this position. So it's core, chest, and crown. Now I know Karen's body, I've been working with her a little bit over these last few weeks. She has a tendency to be really flexible in her T-spine. So if she moves her arms forward, it's not necessarily here where she is flexible, it's here. So what she has a tendency to do is kind of collapse more through her T-spine. You guys just see that? So she has to really focus on drawing her front ribs back, right? A little bit higher than lower for her. Watching the knees in Tadasana. So I get my mums to stand with their feet hip width apart. They'll find it a lot more comfortable now, feet hip width versus together in this position. And they're grounding through the feet. They're finding neutral spine. They're rolling their shoulders back. They're standing up nice and tall. Palms of the hands can either face forward, right, which as you can see rolls the shoulders back, or palms of the hands can face towards the thighs. What I use Tadasana traditionally in class is to get mums to figure out or feel where they are. And I show them those 2 movements. Are you someone who really tips the pelvis forward, creating a little bit more backache? Or are you someone that really drops the pelvis forward and clenches the glutes? And mums will generally be able to find out who they are. I then introduce the terms neutral spine, which is this hugging onto baby. So hugging onto baby, we have to engage these transversus abdominis. I just spoke about them a little bit earlier. So it's the 2 edges of the pelvis to the midline of the body, and then with a slight lift. So they get this movement through the lower abdomen rather than navel to the spine. Navel to the spine is just a cue for rectus abdominis. So that's those sort of 6-pack. When we see the 6-pack muscle, they're the most superficial. They're closest to the skin, but they don't hold a lot of strength. That's not what holds us. Something else that mums are probably not aware of is these 2 really large muscles on either sides of the spine called their quadratus lumborum. And these muscles take over hugely in prenatal yoga. They're like cables of a bridge, or rather in pregnancy. So her QL muscles are contracting almost always because her belly and the abdomen and that abdominal wall is stretching. So something needs to support the back, and these muscles usually have the tendency to kind of contract quite a bit. But I use Tadasana just as a way again of mums to stand correctly, see which way they are, if they go forward or back, and then we correct it with neutral spine. And I introduce terms, and all I have to do now is just say these cues in class, and my mums understand what I'm talking about. Hug onto baby, lift baby from below for pelvic floor, and that's about it. Watching, of course, the weight bearing or hyperextension through the knees.